Yeah, I got a question.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. Just a question about, Peter was talking about how the most important thing is politically, I think that's what you were saying, like just having the power to do these things. And it seems to me that we kind of are in that situation now. Like, if we could all get past our egos. Like, I run for the Green Party, so I'm as bad as anyone, but just in terms of splitting the vote, like right now, 39% of people voted federally for Conservatives. So we've got 60% of people who ostensibly voted for a party that believes in global warming, wants to do something about it, but we can't get our act together to do anything about it. Right now the NDP sort of holds the balance of power provincially. Like they're in a pretty good situation, right? You could force the Liberals to do things, and then they could do environmental things, say, well, it's not our fault, these things, and you've got nothing to lose, because you don't have power to lose right now. So, I mean, if what you're saying is true, that we need to stop global warming, we need to have livable cities, we need to do something about it, I don't really see there ever being a better situation. Like, we've got a majority of people to vote for parties to do something about it, and yet, Tim and I are splitting the vote to the Greens, the NDP's doing their own thing. Even during the election, they were running on the idea of taking, the HST off home heating. We've got to be part of it. So, as much as you say this is something we need to do, why don't we get, like, if we can't get our act together to do it now, there's never going to be a time. Like, when's that going to be, that magic time when 100% of people vote for what? I don't know what it is. We can't get our act together now. Oh, and just one other thing, like even when I was walking around after Tim's party a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago, Rosario Marchese cornered me on the street and he was just handing out flyers, and he was attacking the Green Party, saying, well, they don't believe in taxes. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're telling me what I believe? Like, I don't even know. So it just doesn't seem like we're all working together here. It seems that people in this room need to work together to make this happen, because there's no magic time that we're waiting for.
Well, let me break the question into a few parts. One on the taking the HST off home heating, something that Jack Layton supported as well, because we find across Ontario there is a very high level of poverty and fuel poverty. Particularly when I talk to my colleagues who represent Northern Ontario, people find themselves in a situation where they don't have the cash to invest in repairing their homes. They get whacked with a tax transfer that helps some of the wealthiest companies in Canada. They already know that they need investment in upgrading their homes. What they need from governments is the capital to do that. They already have a very strong price signal. So set that one aside for the moment. The other, I would say that in terms of cooperation, it happens when the opportunity presents itself. When I was on Toronto City Council in the early 90s, I proposed the Better Buildings Partnership, a citywide energy efficiency program for industrial, commercial, institutional buildings. And we were able to get that through because we all worked together on it. It was something that unified right, left, and center. Recently, within the last few years, Liberals, with George Smitherman as the Energy Minister, brought forward the Green Energy Act. We voted for that. We fight against things that we think are going to move us backward, and we're quite willing to work with things that we think will move us forward. We thought the Liberal bill on cap and trade was very weak. It had too much in offsets, but we voted for it because, as weak as it was a step further ahead. I think that proportional representation would make a huge difference politically in Canada. It would allow us to form alliances that I see forming on city councils, where you see people working across the spectrum. That would be a big step forward, and frankly, this is one of the few ridings in Ontario, here in Toronto-Danforth, that voted for proportional representation when the referendum was held a number of years ago. I think where there's the potential to work together on a common project, we should take that. Where there isn't, then we get on with life.
If I could just add, as a completely ivory tower academic, from a political science perspective, you really only have two choices. If you're the first past the post system, you need two parties. I mean, and whether that's formally having two parties, or coalitions, or partnerships, because if you have more than one party on one side of the median voter, the So you either need proportional representation. If you want to have multiple parties, you need to have proportional representation. Now, again, I know that there's histories to these things, there are interests in these things, but just from a strictly political science analysis side of it, it's first past the post, two parties, proportional, multiple parties.